based on that behavior change, she was now open to him coming over to the table, and somebody went over and said, "Are you single? Come." She's been looking at you all night, and now they're together, right? And when we talked about it, it was exactly that. We talked about lightning struck her. She was not looking, adamant, like purposefully not looking, like looking away. And there was just no denying that this was a thing. And, I think for anybody who's in a good, solid relationship, they can probably relate to that moment where it's like, I had no control over this. It took a life of its own. And what I'm fascinated with is how do we, all of you who share with me all the time how difficult it is to find your person and how to navigate dating and all this stuff, and we talk about it all the time, is how do we create the space for lightning to strike? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. It's Bonfire Talks with me, Mark Wahlberg. Thanks for joining me. Hope you've had a great week. I've had a pretty decent week. Hi, Kalen. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm all right. I think I might be getting sick.
Great.
Yeah.
So join me next week when I'll be getting sick. We're not going to make out, but maybe there'll be a hug. I don't know. I'm sorry you don't feel well.
That's all right.
Been going around.
Yeah.
End of summer vibe, I think, is what that is. Here we are. We made it through the summer. I mean, it's still summer, technically. But this is a time of year that always brings up everything for me because my birthday was Saturday. And my birthday always falls on Labor Day, which is, it is what it is. But for me, my birthday always marked, summer's over, everybody's bummed, and school starts. So, awesome, happy birthday. And so, I kind of get up in the head about that. I actually had a very good birthday. Got this new shirt, which I love. So, thank you, Robbie, for my new shirt, although I hate what I'm wearing because I put on this shirt going, I love this shirt, and then I got dressed with what I thought matched, and I walked out going, I look like I have granimals, like everything is too all matched up. I need a stylist in my life, I think. I've come to the point where I don't dress myself well. So, awesome. So anyway, end of summer, Labor Day weekend, and birthday. So, I'm not really great at birthdays. Do you go big on your birthday, Kaylin?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
I mean, not with a bunch of people, but I'll take a trip somewhere.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm not big on having a big birthday party, but I'll make a weekend out of it if it means we can go on a 1 or 2 day vacation.
Sure. Yeah, for me, it's always tricky because I guess I don't know how to really enjoy a birthday. You know what I mean? It feels like pressure to me, so I end up doing nothing, and then the day comes and it goes, and I'm like, well, that wasn't any more special than any Tuesday in my life. But it's just pressure. But I think I had a good birthday. It was nice. We, I opened up some presents, then I went and played golf, which is fun, and then we got some dinner and did, it was just really just a normal day. And I feel bad because I think I bear a little responsibility. I should probably say to Robbie, here's what I want to do, which I know that when it's her birthday, I want her to tell me what she wants and what she wants to do because the pressure of providing it for her is a lot. So if she'll just tell me what she wants, then I'll get it and do it and we'll have a great day. And I don't do that for her. I just shut it down. I'm like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to do anything. And then, it puts her in a situation of what am I supposed to do as your wife to make your day good? So let me just start this by apologizing to Robbie for not giving you any idea of what I want to do or what I want. And thank you for my gifts because she really did great. This shirt, I love this shirt. This is a Johnny O golf shirt, and it's the most comfortable shirt I own. So even though I'm wearing everything blue that matches and I look a little ridiculous, I've decided I don't care. So I went out to dinner last night. 'Cause I was in a funk. As I was mentioning, the birthday thing kind of puts me in a funk every year. I don't really like it. It feels like it's like the ultimate. Labor Day is like the ultimate Sunday scaries for me. It's like, okay, so summer's over, and now school starts, and what are you going to do with your life? And so that's been kind of had me in a funk all week. And then yesterday, I was really just not in a good mood, and I was just not wanting to talk to anybody or do anything, and just kind of, a little crabby. And then we got invited out for a little barbecue dinner kind of thing. And I went. I didn't want to go, but I went. And I had a great time. But then this kind of showed up. So we went to dinner, and it was the 3 or 4 couples, and it was really casual, and it was all good. But one of the people there was a pretty big celebrity, right? And what Robbie and I this morning, as we're talking over coffee, as we always do, is we were kind of talking about what came up was performative behavior, right? And I looked up the definition of that to make sure I'm not representing it incorrectly, but performative acts are intended to show how a person wants to be seen by others rather than who they really are, okay? And so what I noticed this morning when I woke up with the every morning cringe that I often wake up with is how much of my behavior last night was completely performative. Because all of a sudden, I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to be there. I show up to this little get together, and we're all hanging out, and it's kind of cool and whatever. I'm not vibrating at my normal, energy. And then this celebrity walks in that I know, but I haven't really hung out with, and that's in the room, and all of a sudden I'm cheery, I'm telling stories, I'm laughing, I'm so interested in what people have to say. And I woke up this morning going, was that really how I felt, or was I doing it so that people thought something of me? And I think probably the latter is more true. I was kind of just trying to be, what I wanted them to think of me rather than how I was. I wonder what it would be like if I just brought how I was feeling to the party. But that's really not fair, because we all, when we're with other people, we behave differently for all kinds of reasons. For social reasons, we don't act out with other people in a social setting because it's a social setting. There's certain things required. But I thought it was interesting to look at how the knee-jerk reaction of when performative behavior takes over authentic behavior. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. It's like, it's always in social settings. It has to do probably a lot with anxiety and self-confidence and sort of thing, people-pleasing, that sort of thing.
Yes, and 100%. And what it brought up for me was what we were talking about with Amanda. When Amanda was here, we were talking about dating and how to be on a date and how to find your love and all this stuff, which is another conversation that came up last night that I thought was interesting that I want to get to. Remind me to talk about lightning striking, because that's the thing. But lightning strikes? Lightning strikes. Not actual lightning, but like emotional lightning.
Oh, okay.
And making space for that to happen. So, but what I was looking at is, all right, so it was more important to me, I think, that the people there saw me as something, like I was driving a narrative about me rather than just being me. And I don't think we notice it because we all do it all the time. It's a swirl going on all the time. But then I thought about, what's the good and bad in this? The good is it forces you out of your own, funk to act in a way that's acceptable to others, because you won't allow them to see you being just a jerk. So I guess that's a good thing. But I also thought about how we're not in control of that behavior, like it happens to us rather than us choosing to do it. And how does that show up like when we're on a date? Because we were talking about that the other day. And I think that really speaks to what we were talking about, is that, us wanting to drive a certain narrative about us so that they don't see the things about us that we're really feeling is not really our authentic self, and gets in the way of what I've been talking about, which is, be you, warts and all, and that's the thing that people will respond to. But I can't. What I'm looking at is I can't believe how much of my behavior, my personal behavior, often is performative. I'm doing it so that others will see me, right? And it's not really true. about me all the time. And the reason I'm doing it is that the fear of, if you were to see me being how I'm feeling actually, you might think something of me that I don't want you to think of me. And so I'm driving you to think a certain narrative of me that's not particularly true. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that gets in the way when you're meeting somebody new and you're starting to date, instead of like just letting it rip and being who you are and seeing if they can handle it. Like I was saying, like, seeing if they can ride your ride, Instead, you're not being you. You're being this thing, basically listening and trying to get a reaction from the other person that they like you, that they approve of you. Always that. And I think that gets in the way of something real happening. And that, what were you going to say?
Well, does it make me bad that I'm the opposite way?
I was thinking about that as I drove in.
When I talk to people, I don't care what they think of me.
You really don't.
But, when you're talking about this people pleasing, it kind of works to a negative to a degree when I feel like, oh, I don't care enough.
Well,
because I don't, I'm a nice guy. I get along with everybody, but I don't care especially people I don't know think about me.
This is really interesting that you said that, because I thought about that in the car on the way here, that my experience of you, and we don't hang out, so I know you from this room.
Yeah.
But it's exactly that you really don't particularly, or at least I don't see it, display performative behavior.
Right. You're
not doing shit to make me go, wow, I really like Kaylin.
Right.
And by the way, and this I think is the point, and I really like you. And kind of envy that about you. Like, I know I'm going to meet you right where you are. You're going to be who you are, and I got to deal with that. You don't fucking care.
Right.
And it's not that you don't care about me.
Right.
You just don't care about what I think about you.
Right. Exactly. I don't want to put the extra energy into that kind of performance, and it feels like kind of almost wasted energy to me, because I know I know I'm a likable guy. Like I said, I'm nice, but I don't want to put that extra energy into pretending or faking anything like that.
I think it's a really awesome thing that I'd like to do more of in this. I say this new year because to me, like, September feels like New Year's to me. It feels like this is really the time for resolutions and stuff. It's back to work and stuff. But that's one of the things I envy about you, is that you really don't do that. You really don't try to be something so that I react a certain way and give you approval. And in not doing that, it makes me approve. You know what I mean? I'm like, I kind of dig that guy. He's like completely honest and authentic, right? And that's the thing that I kind of want to work on for me is I don't think I don't know that we often change our behavior too much, but what we can do is be aware of what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it can work to a negative too. Like, we had like a little get together at the house over the weekend, and I'm someone, my fiance needs to like elbow me and go be social.
Right.
Perform a little bit, and I have to go, oh, okay.
And on the other way, I sense when no one's doing it, and I want to, and so what I do is try to fill the room with performative behavior to make everybody feel okay, when in fact probably everybody's fine, but I'm uncomfortable, and it really has nothing to do with but my own ego of being uncomfortable that someone might think that this vibe is my fault. That kind of thing. But what you said is really true. It's the energy it takes. It's like when you lie about something, you now have to support that lie for the rest of your life. That's what that feels like to me, is that you take so much energy driving this narrative that people go, oh, I like that guy. Look at how great he is. Look how sunny and funny and all that stuff. And it takes so much energy instead of just, maybe if you're not feeling it, maybe just shut up and listen and let other people do it. Because, by the way, it came up not because of my behavior, but watching other behavior. Like watching other people perform, right? And then when I woke up this morning, I was kind of judgmental, going, man, that was really, what was that? And I'm like, holy shit, I was doing it all fucking night. I was adorable. I was like telling every story and, all that stuff. And I kind of woke up this morning feeling a little sick to my stomach about it.
Well, it's also in your nature. You're a performer. That's what you do. That's who you are. That's who you've always been back to when you were a kid at, camp. And
yeah, it's true.
So, maybe it's just a personality thing.
Maybe there's some authenticity in that.
Yeah.
But But then, so that brings me to this thing about the lightning strike. So,
I'm curious what this means.
Well, I talk about it on the show sometimes, but in my personal life, there was, when I was younger and I was single and I was working at this restaurant and singing and dancing, and audiences would come in every night. And there was a period of my time where it was like, who could I hook up with in the audience? Like every night was like, okay, she's kind of cute, and let me see if I can, hook up, right? And then I started wanting to find my person, right? And so then it was every night was like the audience would come in. I'm like, is she here tonight? Is she here tonight? Is she here tonight? And then finally I got so tired of that energy of trying to be something that would attract other people so that she might be my forever girl that I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to find someone now. Like I'm taking that off the page. It's very much like what I was talking about before about quitting jobs you don't get paid for. So the job of looking for a wife, I quit. And one night, Robbie comes in. She's sitting at a table just like everybody else at this restaurant every night, the same thing. And it literally was a moment. I'm walking up to the table, and she turns around and looks at me, and I got struck by lightning. And that was it. Like, whether I wanted to or not, this was it. And it has been it for 37 years now. Longer than that if you think about when we were dating. And this person who was at this dinner was with her boyfriend, and she had been married and had a divorce and everything, and then she talked about how they met. And it was exactly the same experience. She was famous. She was in a place at a restaurant. She was not trying to be seen, not trying to be famous, not trying to meet anybody. And then in one moment, she looks across the room and catches eyes with this dude, and he catches eyes with her, and there's chemistry, like undeniable chemistry. And then based on that behavior change, she was now open to him coming over to the table, and somebody went over and said, "Are you single? Come, she's been looking at you all night." And now they're together, right? And when we talked about it, it was exactly that. We talked about lightning struck her. She was not looking, adamant, like purposefully not looking, like looking away. And there was just no denying that this was a thing. And I think for anybody who's in a good, solid relationship, they can probably relate to that moment where it's like, I had no control over this. It took a life of its own. And what I'm fascinated with is how do we, all of you who share with me all the time how difficult it is to find your person and how to navigate dating and all this stuff, and we talk about it all the time, is how do we create the space for lightning to strike? How do we create the space for something real that we could not deny if we tried to happen? And I don't know. I don't exactly know how you create that space. I don't although I think there's something in the not looking that provides the space. I keep talking about that as you just show up and be in the moment, try to enjoy the moment with whoever's there and be whoever you're going to be. And if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. But to trust that I'm not going to drive this is not a natural way of being, because our natural way of being is somewhat performative. Our natural way of being is, there's somebody new in the room. I need to be a certain person so that they approve of me in a way that makes me feel okay, and therefore, maybe something will happen. But then you're kind of starting a relationship on a not so authentic foot, And so I guess what, the game for me, again, another game, but the game for me as we go into September and I shake off my birthday blues is what I'm constantly striving to do is like be more of a real person. And so now it's like, I don't think I'm going to change my performative behavior for all the reasons you said. It's basically who I am. It's what I do for a living. It's who I am. But I can be aware of it so I can at least be less show-offy and less self-serving. Because what it really is that to some level, that behavior makes people feel at ease, and so that's a good thing. But the other thing is you're doing things to elicit a response from others. You're doing things so that they say, what a great guy. And I always talk about in relationship, are you giving to the relationship or taking from the relationship? So an example of giving to a relationship is what you do. You come in, you have no agenda you're bringing in the room. It's not like you're I've never seen you walk in the room and go, oh, Mark, I got to tell you. Well, that's not true. When you're excited about your dad's podcast, you came in and you were like excited and sharing that with me, which was real. Yeah. But you don't generally come in with an agenda of, hey, person, look at me and listen to what I got going on and let me share, all this stuff about me. That's taking the energy from somebody else as opposed to giving the energy to someone else, which is one way to create space. So what I'm looking at is how often do I fill the room with, hey, aren't I a great guy? Aren't I so humble? Yeah, I know you saw me on TV, but look, I'm just a regular guy, and look how great I really am, is kind of bullshit, and doesn't serve me or the person I'm with, but it's a knee jerk. It's not something I have control over. So the game I'm playing is to maybe after the fact, go back and look at all my interactions and go, how much of that was you being real and giving to the other person, like out of your own way, and really listening to them and giving to what they're asking from you in their own performative behavior, or how much am I taking over and going, yeah, me too. Look at me. Look how much I care about you. Look how hard I'm listening to you and how interested I am in you and how many compliments I'm giving you. And it's a version of love bombing. Right. And so the game is for me to now look at how often do I do that, and is it serving me and others? And then hopefully what happens is the gap between the time of the behavior and noticing the behavior becomes more instantaneous, so that in the behavior I'm like, wait a minute, are you doing this for them or are you doing this for you? And then making a change right then so you can slow your fucking roll. And, the antidote to that is really easy. The antidote is shut the fuck up and listen. Give energy to someone else's need to be seen rather than begging for them to see you, not just to see you, but to see you in only the light you would like them to see you in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I'm a slave to that to some degree. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to once again work on being more like Kaylin in my life and see how that serves me. But that's a challenge. And it takes so much energy. And I think that's a lot of why the birthday thing was not so fun for me, is that I'm like, what is expected of me and how should I be? And even in my being fucking an asshole is performative. It's me being a jerk. So you go, what's wrong with you? Right? What's going on? How can I help you? And now I'm taking your energy. Now you're all trying to make me feel better. And then I get darker so that you do that more because there's some payoff for me in it. Fuck. I don't know that I'm ever going to figure this thing out.
You'll get there.
I'm getting somewhere. I'm always getting somewhere. And then I realized that one of the topics that came up was watching TV to go to sleep at night. This is sort of a left turn, but which Robbie feels the need to do. And I don't really have a problem with it. It doesn't bother me. I can sleep through anything. But then what came up was some research that says if you watch TV to go to sleep. Do you watch TV to go to sleep?
I turn it off before I go to sleep. I don't know.
That's better. So they were saying there's a 75% better chance of you developing Alzheimer's if you leave the TV on all night when you're sleeping. So that freaked me out because we've been doing that for years. Yeah. But I usually get up in the middle of the night and turn off the TV. And so that's the new thing we're trying to do is for fear of developing dementia, we're not going to watch the same movie every night to fall asleep. And what's funny is that we didn't last night and we both fell asleep without a problem. So that's also a lie that we think we need these things, which goes into everything, every vice we use that we think we need that we really don't fucking need. We don't need to do that. It's just, again, just getting back to some version of honesty with yourself instead of always putting off your misery onto something outside of you is creating it. So hopefully I haven't developed, a propensity for dementia by watching too much TV. And then I thought to myself, this isn't good for my industry because now if it's bad to watch TV, what do I do for a living? Yeah. So I watched some TV.
Yeah.
Can you guess what channel I watched? What I watched?
My instinct. Well, it was an actual channel, not just Netflix.
It was Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
I'm calling it a channel because I'm fucking old. I'm much older than last week when I saw you. I watched the Kobayashi Joey Chestnut big event, which is, if you're not aware, they're both, competitive eaters, and they're both the top in the game. So it was sort of this Mike Tyson, Logan Paul kind of vibe, and they're going to eat hot dogs. And Rob Riggle hosted it and some other hosts, and it was fun, and it was an event, and it was sort of a tongue-in-cheek event, like we're playing it like a big sporting event, but it's eating hot dogs.
Well, I've seen Joey Chestnut and like documentaries on him, and it's no joke. Like,
so that's what I want to talk about.
Talking about a sport, like what he does to his body and the way he prepares and the way it's like, yeah, he's an athlete.
So I need to know that more, and I don't know that I saw that. I was sort of skimming through.
It wasn't on that program you're talking about. So, it was something else. It was like last year when they were doing the.
So first of all, it's hard to watch it all for me because it's gross as fuck.
Yeah,
like I get nauseous after 3 hot dogs, and he ate 83 of them in 10 minutes. So what I was like, how do you physically do that? It has to go into your belly. I know how I feel after I eat, like if I've ever eaten 3 hot dogs, how I feel for 2 days afterwards.
Yeah.
What do you know anything about like how he prepares for or deals with it after?
I don't remember it entirely, but it has a lot to do with like working out and like kind of meditation and kind of almost that like David Blaine type thing where it's that kind of mental, like understanding your own body, like kind of deal. But it's all these things kind of put together, and he like has like workout regiments, and Yeah,
so I can kind of get my head around prepping for it somehow, and then you do it. And then as soon as it's over and you've got 83 hot dogs and buns in your belly, how do you deal with that? It's got to go somewhere. Do they throw up right after?
I don't think so.
Right. So how does and both of them, by the way, Kobayashi's really fit. Like he's in good shape. And Joey Chestnut is not a fat guy. I mean, he's not, ripped, but he's not like he has a big belly or anything like that. So I was just kind of like, down the rabbit hole of like, where do the hot dogs go? Like, is there just this massive moment of expelling it from every orifice, or just somehow their body is able to process this? I can't get my head around it. I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
That's the show I'd watch. I'd like to watch the documentary of an hour later. Yeah. Like, is he doubled over in pain and like... They have to go somewhere, Caitlin. Hot dogs can't stay in there and be metabolized. And I know they do it like once a year. Well, they probably do it much more than that, but it can't be healthy.
I don't think it's that healthy.
And they're drinking water. Like I couldn't drink that much water. Forget the hot dogs. I couldn't do that in 10 minutes and not be sick. It just kept me up all night thinking about it. I think I may have eaten a Tums because of their hot dog. And that's the height of codependence, that my stomach hurt watching them eat their hot dogs because I need to make everybody okay. That's called going full circle. That's just me just doing that. Yeah, so I watched that. And I
don't know why, but I watch a lot of videos of people just eating food.
Yeah.
Like they'll just be sitting in their car and they'll be like, "Oh, here's the new like Wingstop menu," and they eat it and rate it. And I don't know why I like those videos, but my algorithm is filled with them.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting, and mine isn't because I think it kind of grosses me out a little bit watching people eat food.
It kind of grosses me out too, but it's that thing where you just can't stop watching it. It's like, oh, it's gross, but I can't look away.
Oh, well, that's like pimple popper. I went through my whole pimple popper phase where I like. An ear cleaning phase where I was watching that on TikTok and my whole algorithm was filled with just wax coming out of people's ears. You can't not watch it, but it's just repulsive. So I watched that. I was kind of just watching TV and kind of just phoning it in and putting off, I guess we'll just go here, putting off like engaging in my life. Like, what are the things in my life that leave me unsettled, that I want to make a change and change some behavior and get some practices around? And why am I not just stepping up? And so Pat Finn, who was here
Yeah.
My dear friend Pat. He's so gentle with me, but he was not calling me out, but sort of challenging me to say, Mark, you can go bigger than you go. And he's right. I think if I were to get out of my own way, I could go bigger in my life. I could create and do things in a much bigger scale than I attempt to do. And I had to look at it, and he was like, going, why don't you start with me like Tuesday, which is today? Or not for you, but when we're recording, it's TV. So I was, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think I have the energy to commit to any growth right now. And, as soon as I said it, I'm like, this is one of those things where it's good for you. It's important, and yet I just don't want to. I don't want to. And I didn't. And so now I'm this morning waking up going, all right, so it's not even that I'm afraid to attempt to go big, like have a bigger life, like have some bigger goals and stuff like that. It's literally that something in my brain is shut down where I don't even know what that looks like right now. I'm just like, I just don't have the energy to attack anything right now. And it's a dangerous trap for me because what it ends up being for me is marking time. I'm just waiting for something to change that's going to make me feel like the energy of creation and excitement, as opposed to like Christian Pierce, when we talked about him, about research and putting in the work to write something and make it great, and he's got that energy behind it. And right now, I'm having trouble creating the energy for me, and I wonder if you guys feel that at all in your own lives when you get in these stagnant periods and you just don't want to grow. You don't want to attack. There's no excitement to that. It's more like a burden than it is an excitement. And so that's another thing I want to try to shift is like, let's take some chances and take some stabs. And I know I feel better when I'm engaged in a project and I've got something on the plate that I'm looking forward to and working at. And right now I don't. And so I'm kind of just going, well, let's just get through a day calmly and nicely and then go to sleep and try it again tomorrow. And so I just have to cop to the fact that I was asked and given an opportunity to take my life up a notch, and I looked at it and said, yeah, nah, dog, I'm going to keep this simple little small life and ride with that, and then complain about it. And then complain about it to everyone who will listen to get a reaction for them to tell me, your potential is so much greater than what you're doing, and that somehow makes me feel better. Yeah, so I don't know, man. It's like I got this back to school energy where I feel like, oh, God, here comes the school year, and I'm not prepared. Do you get any of that feeling at the end of the summer? Of course you don't.
No, not
Of course you don't.
Not really.
Yeah, I do. And I think it goes back to childhood. I mean, it was always like my birthday.
I go in waves. I go in waves by the week or by the month. Like I do good, and then I do bad, and then I do good, and then I do bad. And so it's
But I think that's natural. That's natural. Mine is like when my birthday comes around, August 31st, when that comes around, it's not joyous. It's like, oh, that marks having to show up and do my homework. And so it's ridiculous false pressure I'm putting on myself to be something other than just happy, which is what we talk about all the time, is how do you just be a little happier and a little breezier. And but I think you said something that really, again, Kaylin, in your simple way of putting things, said something that really landed for me, which is it just takes a lot of energy to manage perception all day long, all the time, without actually doing anything that would have you be perceived in a way. Mm-hmm. So the difference is I'll tell a story or be this gregarious, fun guy to get a reaction from the people around me, as opposed to doing something that has me be that I'm really into, and then that gets observed whether I care about it or not. And that perception is a real perception of me, and that's attractive to others, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to dating. It's the same thing. It's like when you're trying to manage who you are with a person there, they might be down with you for like that date, but it doesn't particularly drive them with any interest to learn anything more about you. They're like, oh, well, he was really fun and silly and great, and that was pleasant, but I don't really fucking care. as opposed to if I weren't particularly pleasant, but I was giving with my attention to you and had them, have an open space to share, there might be something more textured that drives an actual relationship instead of, I think what performative behavior, the byproduct of performative behavior is a litany of acquaintances, where everybody's nice and everybody's cool and we like each other and everything, but you don't really have a relationship. It's not real. There's no place for that person to share something they're going through where you can be compassionate, or you to share some vulnerability where they can be compassionate. You're just sort of throwing shit against their wall and theirs against your wall so that we all get along, and you go home thinking, well, they liked me, so that's enough for me. And it just takes so much energy, doesn't it? It just takes so much energy to be something you aren't, particularly in that moment, maybe shades of it. And so I guess that's what I'm going to work on, is trying to be more and more and more exactly who I am and not who I want you to think I am. Because even as I sit here and talk to you guys, all that's really running through my head is the one comment I got this week.
Oh, no.
One comment. That's all it takes. And the comment was not wrong. And the comment was something like, look, somebody suggested I listen to your podcast. So I tuned in and I listened to you guys talk. And while it was entertaining and this, that, and the other, it kind of felt like a therapy session. And then I immediately was like, oh, maybe I should change. I don't want them to think that. And then as I was driving up here, I said to myself, and so what? Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like, because that's exactly what I was talking about. And that's exactly where I vibrate. And I may not be for you.
Yeah.
I'm the real me, asks those questions and is constantly in this conversation about feelings and emotion and emotional intelligence and how can I not be a slave to this behavior we're talking about. And then one person says that's not for me, and I'm like, well, maybe I should just, talk about Kobayashi, right? Maybe that'll work, because that's not therapeutic at all. So here I am once again, even here, performatively trying to please the one comment I got. So there's two sides to this. One is, don't listen to the comments. And two is, I need more comments from you so I can, A, practice when you don't approve, and B, performatively get you to approve. So just comment so that I'll, obsess about your comment instead of her comment, which was not wrong. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to think if I responded, but my response would be, you're not wrong, and this may not be for you. Interesting. That all makes me feel really uncomfortable. Like I'm really not loving where I'm at with that right now. But that's the whole thing, man. If it's comfortable, nothing's happening. If it's uncomfortable, something might be happening. So let's just lean into that. So, kind of shifting my focus to be excited about fall and what's to come and the space, because there's space created for me now, because it appears that I'm not going to be going on tour doing my game show that I do every fall. And that's left me in a little bit of a funk. And this is hard to describe. Like, I love doing it. I love doing a live show. That part I love. And I've done it for years and years and years. But in my life, it doesn't particularly work for me. It's not a high-paying job, which has never really been a driver for me. But it takes me away from Robbie for longer than either of us are comfortable with. So then I'm out there on the road not enjoying myself because I'm thinking about how Robbie might be feeling having to hold down the fort without me. And I'm not particularly getting rich, and yet for some reason I have never been able to quit this job because there's parts of it I really love, and now it doesn't look like the way it was put to me is that they can afford to have me back. And so rather than me going, yeah, okay, that's kind of mutual, and it's been an incredible ride, and if you ever want me back for a few days, I'm here, and that's awesome. And I wonder if you guys do this too. I immediately looked at it as, what have I done that you don't want me to be part of this anymore? When in fact, everybody communicated exactly what it is. It's mostly finance and my unwillingness to do what they need. Like if I said, you know what, I'm down to go for 2 months, they'd be like, great. right? But I'm not down. And yet I feel bad somehow that I'm being left out of some experience that I truly don't need to be a part of. It's not serving me to do it. So what that leaves me with is a time where I'm normally checking out. So like September, when the whole, fiscal life seems to be starting, I usually go on the road and don't fucking do anything, and just, do a show every night and then hang out in my dressing room all day. And now I'm not going to do that, which means I've got this space now in September and October where I'm usually busy doing that now is this open space, and I have no idea what I'm going to do, right? And what is difficult for me is the quiet. The quiet has me, a little uncomfortable, so I'm kind of looking for something. And now I'm hearing it, and I'm like going, dude, you're an accomplice in your own misery, because now the space is created. Pat Finn said, hey, why don't you do this thing that would be really great because you could be doing such big stuff, and I want to help you do that. And my answer was, yeah, no, I don't think I need to do that. So now I have nothing but time. I can learn a language. I could get a degree. I could do anything I want. And my answer is, I'm just going to sit here on the couch and wait for something to break. I'm going to just wait for something outside of me to make it all okay. And that doesn't make me feel any better either. So I guess there's a couple things I need to do. One is look at my obnoxious performative behavior so I can be a little bit more real, like I tell other people to do but don't do myself. And use this space to enjoy creating something that brings me some happiness. That's what you constantly are saying, is that, isn't it just about how are we just happier? Isn't that just it? Isn't that the whole thing, Kaylin?
Yeah. How are we happier?
How are we happier? And it's probably much easier than we make it. And I think it lies somewhere into the gap between what do we truly want to do and be to be happy, and what do we think we need to be doing so others think we are happy? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So if you have any ideas for me of what I should throw myself into that's substantive and matters, I'm all ears, because I'm at a loss right now. But there's this thing. I paused to say, if I were coaching myself, if I were going to TV's Mark Wahlberg and asking for advice in this situation, the advice I would give is that somebody's got to start the engine. So whether it feels comfortable or not, act as if and throw yourself into something, even if it's writing. Writers always talk about just write any words on the page, and then the motor starts, and then the juices flow. And right now, my motor isn't really running creatively. I'm not waking up with ideas, and I don't want to do anything to get me into the space where I'm that powerful guy. And then I want to complain about the fact that people aren't seeing me as a powerful guy. So I don't know what the resistance is. Maybe it's all the energy I'm wasting just trying to get everyone in the world to go, I approve, you're doing great. As opposed to going, you know what? Here it is, folks. Here's what you do. Be more like Kaylin. Just do you without any regard of what people think about you. And then what happens is, what do people think about Kaylin? Pretty much like him. Pretty much everybody around you is like, yeah, I dig that guy. Breezy. I can deal with him. You don't bring a whole lot of anything. You don't bring any drama into any room you walk into.
Correct.
And if you have drama, which you have had, and you've shared a little bit about it, you have sort of generously said, yep, I'll share a little bit about what I'm comfortable, boundaries, of what I'm comfortable sharing, and I don't need to bring it back into this room with you for you to now performatively try to fix me. Right?
Yeah.
That's really amazing. That's amazing. I don't do it very well. You do it very, very well.
Thank you.
I guess this has now turned into a Kaylin appreciation episode. And I'm fascinated by it because there's a piece about you that's pretty attractive. And I get to learn a little bit from you there. So, all right. So, gosh, I don't know, Kaylin. Let me look on my list of bullshit I wrote down so that I would have something to talk about. This is so stupid. This is really grasping at straws. So I wrote down back to school, birthdays, end of summer. How does that feel? Kobayashi. And then the last thing on here that I felt was important to talk about is the joy that new socks bring you. So just to end on that, joy can be very small. Goldie sent me a birthday present. I'm always, it's not that Morgan didn't. It's just that I'm always really touched when my kids take the time to remember me and do that stuff. And she sent me a shirt and a hat and some stuff. She sent me like 8 pair of Stance socks. Stance brand. You know that brand?
No.
You don't know that brand? Stance socks. Another fine company that doesn't sponsor me, but I'm wearing. They're really nice socks, but I don't know that many things compare to the joy of putting on brand new socks. Like if I were a rich guy, like I saw something about like Channing Tatum went like 2 years never doing laundry and just buying new white T-shirts every day.
Yeah.
And I think if I were rich, that I'd put on a pair of new socks every day and let that be the gift to myself. So there you go, folks. That's what I'm leaving with today. Let's take a look at how much we do so that others think a certain thing about us. Let's play a game of if we're not feeling it, act as if, and just jump in and see if the engine will start. And if none of that works for you, go to Costco, buy yourself a bunch of new socks, and put on new socks every day. And let that be the one gift you give yourself. I'm sitting here going, when you post this episode,
yeah,
I'm going to cringe for 45 fucking minutes. Okay. I really got nothing else, you guys. This is just me today. And, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's why we do these every week. Sometimes it's something I really feel charged about, and sometimes I'm grasping at straws. So today is a straw grasping day. Thanks for being here with me. Thank you, by the way. We've had a recent spike in subscriptions. So those of you who are new, thank you for subscribing. We appreciate it. And we're starting to post some stuff on social. So, if you can like those and comments are great. Gives me some direction. I really mean it. If you have something that you want to talk about, send me a comment. And obviously, I'm desperate to have something that you want to hear to talk about. So thanks for being here. And have a great week, and I wish you the best. And maybe lightning will strike you this week. Maybe the space for lightning to strike will happen this week, and then you'll send me a comment about how that happened, and we can talk about it here. All right. See ya.